Okay, let's do a recap of the Super Bowl. Chiefs beat the Eagles 38-35. I was rooting for the Chiefs. In general, I like the Chiefs. And I hate the fucking Eagles, man, and their fan base. And I was very glad to see them defeated. I was very worried for a lot of this game because, um, first half was the Chiefs defense was Ed Donatel-esque in its incompetence. I mean, they were terrible. They weren't tackling, they weren't covering, they weren't doing anything. But it all turned after halftime. I don't know. Maybe Rihanna did something to the Eagles. But yeah, the second half was very different. You know, Mahomes got in cheat code mode a little bit. I always talk about Mahomes and cheat code. If he's playing like that, you can't beat him. And their defense got good enough. I figured the one thing at halftime with this game was thinking back to the Vikings game against the Eagles this year, where we kind of got run out of the stadium a little bit in the first half, 24 points just like tonight, but then we pitched a second half shutout. So I was like, well, the Chiefs could probably do something like that, and of course they didn't even do that. They gave up a couple scores, but yeah, I mean it ended up being a pretty good game. But we see again, like, yeah, Mahomes is definitely the driving force. But when you talk about building a team, getting a quarterback, Mahomes is just on another level. You can't talk about get a guy like Mahomes. There's nobody like Mahomes. He's doing things already in his career that nobody, not even the Golden Boy Tom Brady, was able to do this quickly. If he's in that mode, it's gonna happen. But even with this, we see tonight, it's not. They make a comeback. They make it. They were down 10 at halftime. They make a comeback. But it's not just about the stuff Mahomes is doing. They get a big punt return. They get, their defense steps up and makes some plays or at least make some stops to get the ball back, or hold them to a field goal on the one drive. It's not just about the quarterback. It's more about the quarterback with Mahomes than most teams. And everyone's sucking off Jalen Hurts from this game. Not that he wasn't good, but he was mostly good on the ground. He had a couple big plays in the air to wide open receivers. I mean, there was that first touchdown. I think it was the first touchdown. The Chiefs' defensive back was just terrible. He misplayed it as badly as you could possibly misplay a ball. There was that one late where he hits a guy who was just wide open, and it wasn't even a good throw. It took the guy out of bounds. They scored, but I mean, Eagles receivers were just catching everything. There were a bunch of plays where I was like, that's not even a good throw, but hey, they're making these plays. I thought the one, for all the bitching Eagles fans are doing about the officiating, I mean, they got away with a couple. That one on the sideline to, I think, Goddard, that wasn't a fucking catch, man. He bobbled it and didn't get the 2 feet down, whatever. And I thought they got away with what would have been the second fumble return. That was a fucking catch, man. Give me a break. That was a catch. 2 feet down, and he turned, and then the ball comes out. Come on, that was a fumble. That was a touchdown. They reversed it. But so Eagles fans can, after they're done rioting and burning their city down, which they probably would have done win or lose because they're a bunch of fucking felons over there. Maybe they can get a grip on reality and realize that the refs did not cost them the game. The guy, I saw the guy who got flagged there on that last drive. He even admitted that he did it. He even admitted that he held the receiver. And if he hadn't held the receiver, that was probably going to be a touchdown. So, in that sense, I guess it was a good call. Although actually, it wouldn't have been in that case because in that case you'd rather just let them score because you get the ball back. And they only got the ball back for one Hail Mary throw, which only got to about the 20. Can you imagine if a certain quarterback locally, for all the shit he got for the last play of his playoff game, Can you imagine what would have happened if he had thrown a Hail Mary in this, you don't even have to be in any playoff game. Throwing a Hail Mary and it only made it to the 20-yard line. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. But, Hurts was fine. He's good. He's not one of the top guys. He's not. He's fine. He's like the elite version of Justin Fields. He's better than Fields, obviously, but he's like the elite version of Justin Fields. But I wouldn't bet money that he's going to win a Super Bowl. I have no sympathy for the Eagles or their fans. Fuck them. They had the easiest ride through the NFC that you could ever imagine, and basically they had an easy NFC like this year, like just an easy ride, easy schedule. And they played pretty well in this game. But I mean, the reason most people pick the Eagles is because of their defense. Well, Mahomes and company put up 38 points. Would have been 41, but their kicker doinked one. So I think they the word frauds was thrown around a lot with our guys this year. I think they were also kind of frauds. Because the Chiefs, it's not like the Chiefs played very well. Terrible defense in the first half. Made some mistakes, like they were, all these they were constantly running these sneaks. Well, they're running these sneaks because their defense kept giving Philly all these 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, 4th and 2s, all this shit. I ain't gonna go play by play on this. This isn't a Vikings recap. I'm glad for Mahomes. I'm glad he got his second one. I still feel he got completely railroaded 2 years ago in a game that was as predetermined as any game in history of the NFL. But he's got 2 now. He's probably going to get more. And of course, it's funny. This was the season everyone was saying. Not everyone, but I mean, a lot of people are saying, okay, this is the year now that the Chiefs are going to fall back a little bit because they're coming off the AFC Championship last year where they got beat by the Bengals, and then the Chargers are on the rise, and Denver's got Russell Wilson now, so it's like all these other AFC teams are coming up, and look what happened. So you're never going to be able to write them off. I mean, hell, Mahomes did this with still kind of a bum ankle, and he got kind of messed up again in this game. He's the best one there is out there, and it's not close. I mean, other quarterbacks are pretty good, but there's a gap. It's Mahomes and then everybody else. I don't care who you got as number 2, whether it's Allen, whether it's Burrow, whoever. There's a gap. There's a big gap. Because they did everything they wanted to do except one thing. He's going to win some more. And that'll be the toughest game of the season next year for the Vikings, is when the Chiefs come in here it'll be the first Mahomes trip to Minnesota. And that'll be a crazy game probably. I don't think there's much else from this game to talk about. Not from, not even talking about from like a Vikings perspective. Like, what can the Vikings learn? It's like, you can't learn. Mahomes is a unicorn. You're not going to get the next guy that big there. Even the people who are desperate to move on from Kirk, you're not going to get Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm glad the Chiefs won. And I'm even more glad that the Eagles lost, because fuck the Eagles. Jerick McKinnon gets a ring, so good for him. I think there's 1 or 2 other Amir Smith-Marset, I guess was on the practice squad or something for the Chiefs, so he gets a ring. There might be one other former Viking who gets a ring, but Yeah, that's pretty much it. Good game. It's not. I don't think it's one of the best Super Bowls of all time or anything. I need some defense in a Super Bowl for it to be the best of all time. This was pretty much just an offensive show, and like a lot of people prefer that. They wish every game was 38-35. Well, I like games sometimes like a 24-20 game is actually a better game. Like the biggest defensive play of the game was the fumble return touchdown, but that didn't. Hurts just dropped that. That was like a Dante Culpepper play where he just fumbled without even being touched. I didn't think there was anything on defense in this game. It was, and even like the end, you get the flag and then they just run the clock down and kick the field goal, basically at the buzzer. Like those games are very anticlimactic. I can never look really at games like that that end like with basically a formality field goal as some of the best ones. But that's the season. That's the 2022 NFL season officially in the books. And obviously the Viking season was really fun until the very end, when it wasn't fun. I didn't think the playoffs were very good this year. I thought they were pretty boring and pretty unremarkable. But pretty good Super Bowl, solid Super Bowl. And now we go to the off season, and I still kind of want to do some sort of like Viking off-season thoughts and preview video thing. I've already got it on my blog for whatever that's worth. But so good job, Chiefs, beating the Eagles. You did America a service, and we thank you. And I guess it's officially off season, and we'll see what happens with that. And fuck the Eagles.